Hey guys, and we are back with another episode of Building with You Live, the show where we sit down with folks from DTC brands and build a branded chatbot with them live. I'm your host, Sean, with your co-host Tyler, also the guy that's going to be building the bots. Varun, it's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, great to be here.
So Varun's the co-founder and CEO of Magic. He's basically managed to pack all the goodness of AI with all the hype of ChatGPT right now into a single mirror that's able to train you at home. No more expensive fitness trainers or long, tedious trips down to the gym. Varun, would you be able to tell us a little bit about your story and how Magic came to be?
Yeah, it all started in my sort of early 20s when I kind of ate and drank way too much and got very, very overweight. And I was told that I needed to make a big change soon or I was going to have future health problems. So that prompted me to go into a gym and start working with a personal trainer. And I'd never um, been part of that world before. I'd never lifted weights. I always found it too intimidating. I was never really an active person. So I hired a personal trainer, and over the course of like 4 months, I ended up losing about 25% of my body fat and went through this really crazy physical transformation, and my health was completely turned around. But during that process, I just learned how sort of old fashioned the personal training process was, where you sort of go into a physical gym. You have a trainer who stands there with a clipboard and pen, just manually counting your reps and giving you verbal feedback on your form. The dumbbells were still dumb. There was no kind of smart augmentation or data that was being given to me as I sort of worked out. And of course, it was very expensive as well, and generally not really accessible to your average person. So I started to, I guess that was the nugget, that was the seed of the idea for Magic. And what we started to think about is how could we potentially use AI and a mixture of hardware and software to essentially replace a human, but using AI and software. And that way we can make it personal training accessible on demand, available to people at home, covers the whole household and not just one person. So ultimately, what we're doing with Magic is we're building the world's first AI personal trainer, and we're basically democratizing access to personal training with our product.
It's
Wow.
actually really interesting that you say that because I've been thinking about getting a personal trainer for the past 2.5 years,
Mm.
but just the
Yes.
thought of having to travel down back and forth,
Mm.
it's like, oh my goodness, can't I just do it at home? So it's really fascinating that you can have a mirror and it teaches you everything at home without the travel time, without the lag, without the delay.
Yeah, but yeah, precisely. It's in your own space, your own time. Obviously, it's a safe space. It's your own environment at home, which you're comfortable with, and you don't have to worry about other people and intimidation, which is a problem I personally had. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, but the 4 months, 25% body fat loss, you have to plug the name of your trainer because that is insane.
Yeah, well, I mean, what we're doing is we're taking all those learnings and basically just replacing them with algorithms, I suppose. So everything I learned in the process in a very expensive manual way, that's essentially what we're building into the device is the ability to create customized programs. You get feedback into your form. It corrects you when you're doing it wrong. It counts your reps. You get your weekly data insights and form quality score based upon how well you've done, and then it will recommend increases or decreases in weight. So yeah, that's literally what we're trying to do is replace that human, but using algorithms and AI.
Right, so that's actually an extremely large total addressable market.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, initially our focus is strength because typically that's what you go to a trainer for. You don't normally go to a personal trainer to learn how to run on a treadmill or a rowing machine. It's always weights because people get the form wrong. They don't know what to do, how many sets, how many reps, and what sort of exercises am I supposed to be doing, and what's the right way. So strength is typically, yeah, the one we're starting with, but our sort of AI pose detection technology can really be applied to any physical exercise. So we've already started building it into core and cardio based exercises. The next up is like sports coaching. So we're working with lots of athletes who you might have seen on our website who are starting to teach some of their like how they do their football or cricket, and typically how they do their specific techniques. And then of course there's the scope for yoga, Pilates, boxing, dance. So lots of interesting applications across like physical movement that we can really take this and scale this to.
Right. So I'm personally really, really intrigued about the dance portion because going to dance classes has always been like this really intimidating thing for me because the youngsters nowadays, like they pick up dances in
Yeah,
one session and I'm like, I'm old. I need time. And the
yeah,
dance
sure.
was like, wow, that's something really, really interesting. So translating to another topic here, we realize that entrepreneurship is often glamorized as this shiny thing that anyone can hop into and make tons of money with. What's often neglected is that there is highlight reels in social media and there is survivorship bias. Did you have any hard times as an entrepreneur and how did you personally get through them?
Yeah, I think what we what we are trying to build here is very very complex. It's not as I like say like a dating app or a grocery delivery startup or something. I mean, you guys probably know all about complex things because bot assembly looks pretty deep tech anyway. But uh, I think when you're trying to build something which involves hardware, software, and content, because we basically do all three. It's a bit like running three separate companies in one, and we're trying to get these three elements to all work in symphony with each other, and it's very very stressful and time consuming. And I think the most difficult thing was raising funding for what we do, and getting investors, particularly here in London, in the UK, who I don't think are typically as adventurous and risk. They're much more risk averse than they are, I think, compared to the US. So it was very hard. That was the most difficult part of what we did. Um, so I think learning how to deal with the uncertainty was a key skill that I'm still trying to learn. To be honest with you, is overcoming how to deal with the uncertainty of are we going to make it to the next milestone? Are we going to raise money? And so far, so good. We seem to have hit all the targets we've gone out for, but yeah, it's a work in progress.
No, I really, really appreciate the transparency. So on to the next venture, I realized that you have a social impact startup called Unhoused, and your heart for the underprivileged is extremely, extremely apparent. What drove you to start that social impact startup, and how do you personally allocate your time? Because we all have 24 hours within a day, but
Yeah.
it seems like you're spinning so many different plates.
Yeah, so unhoused.org was it is a social enterprise, specifically with a tech focus. So we're using technology to combat social and community issues, particularly around homelessness. So we're trying to do what charities do, but we're doing it like as a tech startup with a sort of technology focus. So hopefully coming up with innovative ways how we can alleviate the homeless crisis. Um, you're right. It is hard to juggle something like that. And so the way we've done it is, and then this is a great bit of advice, is it's so important to have a co-founder in what you do. So like with Magic, I have a co-founder, Sunil, who balances skill sets. So he has a very strong product and tech mindset, whereas I have a very strong sort of operational and marketing mindset. So same with Unhoused.org. My wife is actually the co-founder, so she takes a lead on it while I'm sort of focusing on Magic. And then I tend to dip in here and there during the week and on the weekends with various things that I need to help with. But yeah, without having a co-founder, I think it'd be very difficult to keep two very very I guess intensive projects alive, I suppose.
No, I think the tip on having a co-founder is really, really good because Tyler and I were freelancers before we met each other. And because now we have each other, like we can pick up each other's slack. So it's
Mm,
amazing what having a co-founder can do for you.
for sure,
Absolutely.
cool.
Right. So onto the bot, Varun, we come up with a couple ideas for the bot build that we're going to be doing. Feel free to pick one. So the first
Cool.
option is going to be a social contest, and we can either do it on Instagram or Facebook. And how it revolves is we're going to be giving away a prize, and that prize could be anything you want to give away. We were actually thinking one of your mirrors, and all people would have to do is to like, comment, and follow you on social media. We would
Okay.
also be collecting their emails and plugging them into whatever nurture sequence you have going on, whether that's Klaviyo or whatever email software platforms that you're using. Since
Hmm.
there's only going to be one winner, we could give the rest a small discount off their next purchase. That's the first option. And all of this is going to be done in either the Instagram DMs or the Facebook DMs. The second option involves a free lead magnet. So we noticed that you have a ton of heavy hitting influencers behind Magic. So we're considering having one of those influencers do either a mini health guide, maybe in the form of a PDF, could be eating, could be stretching, could be whatever, right? Or even a 7-day challenge. So users will opt into receiving daily messages from your page, and we would drop them a mini coupon to purchase the mirror at the end. So for the 7-day challenge, they would get messaged every single day for 7 days. And then they would go through the exercise with the influencer. Finally, we give them the coupon code. So what we're having the users do is basically micro commit on a daily basis, such that they will be more likely to go ahead and say yes at the end. So the third option would actually be an influencer sign up flow. So for any influencers who want to be a voice behind Magic, we could set it up such that they could DM your page with a
Okay.
certain keyword, and we would take them through a certain series of questions and then have it pushed into your CRM
Hmm.
so that you can decide whether you would like to onboard them or not. So which would you personally prefer?
Um, I think the competitions always do very well for us.
Mm,
So we could do something like that. Um, yeah.
Okay.
okay, so the social contest one that is. And
Mhm.
funnily enough, that's the hardest one.
Yeah. So what would
So
your platform rather be, on Instagram or Messenger? There are pros and cons
Probably
to both.
probably Instagram, I suppose.
Okay, we could do that. So I will share my screen and then start
Hmm.
kind of building with you and showing you guys exactly how we do it, or how we would do it. Now
Okay.
keep in mind we'll be on kind of a limited time. So obviously we might not be able to show every single kind of part. We're going to try to do as much as we can though. Okay, so preemptively, we've already created a folder for you. So we're kind of building this on our account, and it would be easy to export it to your account if you ever decide to kind of sign up through ManyChat and so on. But basically, we got a folder here, and we're going to start off by clicking New Flow, start from scratch. I like to actually just like name my flow right off the bat. So to do that, you have to publish the flow first. So I just put 2 little dots, and I want to name this getting started
Hmm.
giveaway flow. And I like to usually do 1.1 just to show that that's the first version. And I also like to usually put emojis at the start of the flow, but instead of wasting time on just the little semantics, I'm going to actually get into the building process. So usually what happens is they're going to opt in through an Instagram post, and they'll have to @ somebody. So what you'll do, and the reason why is because you want them to tag 3 people usually to join. These are usually how they go. Again, you could be a little bit more different with yours. You could maybe make it so they only have to have maybe 1 person. But basically, there's only a handful of ways the flows will trigger, and one of them is through Instagram comments.
Okay.
So what we could do here is you would pick your post, and again, this is connected to our account, so you're not going to be able to see all your posts, and you can make it so it includes certain keywords, and my keyword is going to be @ and then that's it. So I would save that. It's going to want us to be a little bit more specific on the post. Again, right
Hmm.
now we don't have it, so we'll just pretend like it's there. But
Okay.
this is how this works. So like you in your post, you'd say like, oh, in order to join, you need to follow us, like the post, and then @ 3 people, 3 of your friends, or tag 3 of your friends. And
Yeah.
this will then make sure that they have to at least have the tag here. It won't track to see if it tagged 3 people, but you're just going to go on good faith that they did.
Right.
So that's how this will trigger. So now right off the bat, we're going to be like, thanks for showing. And again, we could change the scripts if you really want. No.
So Varun, the copy is going to be a little bit scrappy here. And I said this in the previous podcast, but I'm the one who writes the copy and Tyler's the one that
Yeah.
does the building. So if it does look like some weird English, do forgive us.
No problem.
Okay, yeah. So like I said, it's a little scrappy, like Sean had mentioned. So we'll just click get started. And like usually we would put little emojis and stuff like that at like the buttons to make it look nice. So I'll just put like a little diamond here, just to make things a little bit more apparent. And
Nice.
maybe what we'll do here is we're going to go into, so we created a messenger or an Instagram node right here. And usually I change the card
Nice.
messages here. So it's like get started message. And the next thing we want to do is actually want to create a condition that checks to see if they're following your page. Because if they're not following the page, we don't want them to be able to sign up. We want them to follow the page first. So with this, we can go follow, and then you'll see you've got a couple different options here. You got follower account, follow business on Instagram. So this is the one we want, follow business on Instagram. And you can see that it actually shows you what type this is. This is called a Boolean. So it's like yes, no, true, false type thing. This is a number. So we want actually the Boolean where it sees to see is the person following the Instagram page. If true, meaning they are following the Instagram page, we'll then go on to the next message. So the next message could be, actually I should probably, so before I type in this message, we actually need the user input because that will capture whatever the user puts in. And in this particular case, I want to ask them their email address because that's usually how these things go. You want their email. Sometimes what we could do before this is we could actually ask their full name first, because when you're contacting them through Instagram, you don't automatically capture their full name, their first and last name.
Okay.
On Facebook, you do. So again, there are pros and cons to both. So I'm actually going to go first. I'm going to go ask their first and last name, and then I'm going to ask their email afterwards. So I'll just say first name, just because I know I'm going to run into time restraints. And we'll change the scripts maybe a little later if we do have the time. So I'm changing the user input to first name here, and it says system field right here. So that's what we want. And then we're going to go off to the next message. We'll ask their last name. And again, normally I would be doing this a little bit better, but last time we ran into time restraints, so I don't want to muck about on things that don't really matter as much, like the scripts. So last name, reply type will be last name. Okay, perfect. And then the next thing we want to do is ask for their email, or we could do a confirmation. I usually like doing a confirmation, so that's what I'll end up doing. So what a confirmation it would be is something like this. And then we put in little parentheses here, and we'll type in full name. So I went a little fast there, but basically I said, does this look right? And then I put in quotation marks, full name. So that's where the system field would be. And the way you would highlight that is you just click these little kind of squiggly lines. I forget what they're called. And then you would look up full name. So you just start typing it in and it'll come up on the search bar. And then bam, now you see that it's clearly a different. And then if they say yes, so we'll say yes. And then we'll have a no button. And then with the no button, we'll do something else a little later. We're just going to go down the one path for now. If it's yes, then we're going to ask for their email address. So again, we're going to use user input, and I'll just type in email. Again, I know the scripts are looking a little bland right now, but we'll improve it later on. So the reply type is email, and we do want it to save into a custom field. Now this says automatically opt in into ManyChat's Instagram or ManyChat's emailing platform. So this might not be an option you want to pick. So in your case, I would say it probably isn't, because I'm assuming you have your own kind of email service that you guys use, kind of CRM. And if that is the case, which I'm assuming it is, you can then connect it to that CRM and like send over the leads
Okay.
coming in from ManyChat straight to there. And then that email or that place could send out an email saying like, hey, thanks for signing up, blah, 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 and so on. I'll maybe show that a little bit later on exactly how to do that. So now what I like to do once you've captured the email, once they give you your email address, is we actually just confirm their email address. So similar to what we did with the name, we're just saying, does, and then I will just put in exactly the same. I click this, I type in email, and then it will have a yes, no buttons. Yes, and then no. Okay, and again, for now, we're just going to go down the kind of yes path every time, and then eventually we'll kind of plug up all the holes with the no paths. So the yes path will then go into, usually you'd want to put it into an action. And the reasoning why you'd want to put this into an action is because then you can send that information to your email provider. You can give them a tag so to know exactly how many people are going into this. You can put them into a Google spreadsheet so you can keep track of all the leads coming in. There are many, many different use cases for actions. Usually what I like to do is I like to put them in a spreadsheet. So I might end up making a spreadsheet here. So I'll do that one. I'm going to add a tag. So I'll just say joined giveaway or Magic Mirror. Okay. Again, we could rename this if we really wanted to, but for now, just keep it like that. So we've created that tag. So as soon as users kind of click that button, they get the tag on their profile so we can keep track of them. What else will we want to do? Oh, we want to set a custom field. I'm going to set this right above here. I'll go over that a little later. And the next thing we might want to do is also opt them into Instagram. And I'll put that one at the top. That one there isn't really anything too special. We could have probably put that one right at the start here when they click this little button. So maybe that's what we'll do actually, instead of having that here. I'll just go like this. That doesn't do a crazy amount of stuff really. It just makes it so you're kind of opted in to receive future messages within ManyChat. So just for organization purposes, I'll do that. Okay, so assuming we're kind of done with this year, I usually like to do timestamp to keep track of the exact time they joined or the specific action has taken place. And the reason why I'm going to have this timestamp is because I'm going to insert that information into a Google spreadsheet. And I'm going to quickly make a Google spreadsheet here, just with you guys. Give me a second here. I could go under my demo bots right here. And we want to create a spreadsheet. So what am I going to name this? Giveaway contest. Magic. Oh. Magic. And then I'll just say spreadsheet. Okay. So we got our spreadsheet. And I'll just say leads. And what we're going to do is we're going to type in all the information on the header here. Full name. Then we're going to do email. No, and do live chat link. Usually I like to have live chat link right here. Time joined. Let me see, what other information could we grab? We could even do follower count, or yeah, we're doing this on Instagram. So follower count. If we were doing it on Messenger, obviously you wouldn't have that option. What else do we want to track? Not thinking of anything unless you guys have any data points you guys would like to punch in. Let me
I
know.
think that's good for now, unless Varun wants to pull the number.
The number, what do you mean number? Like the ticket number?
Their phone number. Varun, you're on mute.
No, the phone number's fine. I think. I don't think that's an issue. We've got their email, so that's good.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
for
I
now,
think that's good, Tyler.
Yeah, I'll leave it like this for now, but obviously we could add more. And I always like to freeze the first row. So you just go view, freeze, column, and I always like to put it in
Mm.
bold.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be that. Follower count, we could probably put that right here. So basically now what we need to do is we need to link what we just have in our Google spreadsheet into our ManyChat account. So ManyChat knows where to paste the information. So we're going to go
Okay.
into our actions right here. Actually, one last thing before I do this. Actually, it's better if I do this first. Okay, so we're going to go insert a row. You got three options here. You have insert, get row value, or update a row. They all have their use cases, but they kind of say what it is right here. Insert a row is just you're pasting in the information. Get a row value is like you're fetching it from the Google spreadsheet. And update a row is to just update. Like if you had a line of information, you can update maybe a certain line. Maybe they did something or they, you want to update how many new followers they had after a month or something, you can do that. So we're going to insert. Now what we need to do is we need to get the right spreadsheet. So the spreadsheet is this. Now we need to link the right worksheet. Leads, we only have one option, so it makes it pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're just trying to copy paste all the information. So full name, a live chat link. So we actually didn't paste this in over in the action blocks. So we're going to have to do that after, but I already have live chat kind of made as a custom field in previous endeavors. I'll show how to make a custom ID afterwards. I just wanted
Basically,
to,
what the live chat link does is, let's say 1,000 people come into the giveaway, right? And you want to
Uh-huh.
see get a high level overview of what your team is doing. By having the live chat link, you're basically having a direct door into the live chat logs with what
Yeah.
your team is having with your customers.
Got it.
Yep.
yeah. Okay, so while Sean was kind of explaining that, I just linked all the other information here. Now this is a custom field that we have to make as well. So there's this one, and this one. Or email, no, that's a system field. These three, timestamp, this one, this one. The timestamp we already did ahead of time, as you can see right over here. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of blurred out. These two we did not do, meaning the user would join in and those values would be empty. So it's going to paste in the information and it's not going to have anything. So we have to make sure that there is something. So we have to put the actions above the Google spreadsheet. So what we want to do, I hope that made sense. I know I'm kind of talking a little fast, so it probably
Okay.
is a
Uh-huh.
little choppy because the way this executes is that it actually goes from the start to the end. So it would execute this one, then this one, then this one, then that one,
Okay.
and then this one. And the add tag doesn't matter if it's above or under. Because if this was, let's say the timestamp was under the Google insert row, it would not paste in the information into the spreadsheet because it wouldn't have a value at the time of inserting a row. So we're going to do the live chat one right here, live chat. And all I'm doing is, because I've already made the custom field from previous projects, I just find it, I click it, and then I would add a value. Now, what I'm going to do is you need to know exactly how to link this properly, how to create it. So I'm just going to load this. You can see it, it's in the URL, but I don't know the URL by heart. So I have to go into the live chat tab and then you copy your live chat tab. Usually it's the Facebook page ID, but mine is a little different. So I
Mm-hmm.
go paste in the value, then you do slash, and then you type in your kind of parentheses here and you go user ID. And that's a system field, and that will link straight to the
Okay.
user's specific live chat. So if you have them on ManyChat, like they've interacted with you on ManyChat, you just click the link here and it brings you straight into the conversation with that individual. So that's why I do this, is
Mm-hmm.
so when you guys are, let's say you have this big contest and you want to contact person on line 10, you just click this link and it brings you straight to the live chat tab and you can do so. Now the next one we wanted to do was, I believe it was follower count. Yeah, I think that's the one. So unfortunately, the system field, at least in the past, maybe it's worked now, but back in the past, it wouldn't paste in the number. So what I ended up doing was I saved the system field value that it gives into a custom field, and then it would paste into the spreadsheet. That might not make sense a lot for people that don't use ManyChat often, but basically
Okay.
you're taking like that system value, and then you're just putting it into a user field.
Okay.
So let's do so Instagram follower count. Again, I've made this from previous projects, but if I was to do it from scratch, so let's say I wanted to make a brand new one, I'll just do 1.1. You just create a user field, and this one here is tracking a specific number.
Yep.
If you wanted to, you could do it text. It doesn't really matter in this particular circumstance. For the timestamp, for example, we needed to use time and date. For tracking the follower count, you just need numbers. So in this case, I'll just do number, and then you can give it a description if you really want to. I would 99% of the time do this, but just because I'm on time restraints, I'm not going to do that. So I created that custom field. Now I'm going to use that custom field, so I got to find it. And oops, I put this, there it is right here. And now what I'm going to do is use custom formula, and then you click the little parentheses here. Instagram. Where is it? Wonder if it's not going to find my. Okay, so maybe it is not use of custom formula. It might be set number 2. I think it's because it's a number. Okay, so it did matter actually. Okay, let me just go into my normal one I use, because it might be because it's text. Yeah, okay, so this one was a number and I needed to use text. So I guess that was my mistake. You do have to use a text for some odd reason, because it won't work with number, even though that's all you're capturing. Instagram. Okay, so right here you can see it, Instagram follower count. We click that, and now it's going to take the Instagram follower count and then paste it into the user custom field right here. And now that I've done that, I'm just going to double check on my spreadsheet to make sure everything's fine. Yep, so you can see live chat link is right here, timestamp is right over here, and then the follower count is right here. So hit save. So now all the information has been kind of pasted in properly into that Google spreadsheet. Now, if we wanted to, say, send this to Klaviyo or whatever other kind of email provider you're using.
Yeah, sure.
You can do that by, like, it would come up right down here somewhere. Now, we don't have Klaviyo connected to our account, so that's why it's not coming up here. But if we did have it connected here, it would come up, and then we would just link the information that we wanted to provide. And then you can set up a flow within Klaviyo, like an email sequence of essentially saying like, hey, thanks for joining so-and-so giveaway. We're going to be announcing a winner on so-and-so date, blah, 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 blah. You give them the information. But again, we don't have that action in this particular circumstance. So after all of this has been executed, what we're going to do is basically get them a thank you message. Now, what me and Sean like to do, and again, if Sean gives me more time, maybe I'll be able to do it on the call, but he likes to keep this in somewhat of a timely manner. We like to make it so they get assigned a certain amount of points, and there are ways that they can increase the points that they get. So he had mentioned at the start of the call that like they can do other things like the Facebook page or do a certain action, perhaps mention you inside their Instagram account, and then they would earn points additional to whatever they got now, and that would basically increase their odds of winning the mirror or whatever the prize would be. So,
is there any particular action that you like your customers to do? Like Tyler said, we allocate points to a certain action. So you might rate a follow on Instagram as more points as a like on Facebook.
Yeah, I think for us it would probably be sharing the post. So like and comment is all good, and following, of course, is crucial. But I think one thing which, if we were to run a competition again, it would be that we'd want them to share the actual post themselves, because obviously that increases eyeballs and virality much more than just liking and commenting on it. So I think in future we would want to track something like that.
Okay, so one of the ways that they are eligible in order to join is they have to follow. So that's one thing that.
Yeah.
So they can't really gain points from following because they already followed. And one thing we could do, because you like the sharing aspect, there's not a good way to track it, unfortunately. So that's why I said mention, because if you go into one of the starting steps, the triggers, if they mention you on the Instagram, so it's not right here, actually, it's inside these settings. So if I go into settings, Instagram, if somebody is to mention you, right? So you can have a kind of mention
Okay.
flow. If they mention you on the flow and they're in and they part like is you can edit this flow and make it so there's a condition at the start of it that
Uh-huh.
checks to see are they participating in the giveaway. If the answer is yes, then give them this next message, which would be like, hey, thanks for mentioning us. We just added an additional 25 points to increase your odds and blah blah.
Uh-huh.
So
Cool.
that's kind of one of our options. And let me just check this here. So I'm going to button up things and then I'll do that mentioning. So first thing, seeing as if we are doing points, what we're going to do is we need to actually add the points here. So we're going to make a custom field and we're going to call it, we just call it giveaway. We got to spell that properly, giveaway points. And we're going to create it. And if we really wanted to change the name, we could in the settings. So we're going to check, it's going to be a number. We're just going to say giveaway points.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we've created this custom field. And now we need to actually kind of set things up. Points. Okay, there it is there. So we're going to set the number to, we'll say 25. And we might as well, this is a good idea too. We're going to actually put this inside here. So we're going to say giveaway points. Okay, just like so. And now we have an extra place to insert the row. So we got it right here. So now we just have to update our insert a row here to have our giveaway points. So that way it tracks the points as well. Okay, we hit slave. And okay, that looks good. So now we got the points included. We're just going to focus on the no paths here just to kind of button up this flow fully. So is that not your full name? So now we say, we'll say, what would, we can actually just, for simplicity's sake, go back to this. And then they'll basically have like, what is your first name? What is your last name? And then it'll go back. So it'll loop on itself. We could do almost the same thing with email. I don't particularly love to do it that way. I like to usually say, okay, what is your email? Like a little bit different. You phrase it differently. That's usually how I do with my emails. So I'll just say, all right. And then we're capturing email. And again, we don't want it to opt into ManyChat's email provider. So just put that here. And then we'll link it back to, does this look right? Okay, so we buttoned up all our paths here. So everything is good. It does not like this. What did the error did it show? Okay, so I'll just disable this for now because that's giving me a little bit of a problem. But again, we would enable that in normal circumstances. So that way it works. So now our first flow is set up. So they get 25 points. We can even show them how many points they would get. So you have 25. Oh, we're going to actually link the amount of points they have. So giveaway. Okay. And I like to put in little quotation marks, but you don't absolutely need to do that. And then.
Interesting.
What's that? Oh, yeah,
interesting. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, I get it with the points.
And what we could do is like give them a, like I would usually have a menu of different ways they can earn points. I don't know if I'll have time in this call to make that menu, but usually what I would do is like, would you like to earn more points? And then it would link to that menu that I was mentioning before. And then you give them a variety of different ways that they can earn points. In this case, we could just go like, if you'd like to increase your odds, you can mention us for an additional 50 points. For now, I'll leave this as is. And again, if we have more time, maybe I'll actually try to make that menu. But let's go into the mentioning flow. So again, imagine that in this kind of message, it's going to say like, hey, if you mention us, you'll get XYZ more points. So in order to do that, we'll go into our settings, Instagram, and then you scroll down, and then you should have a flow here. If there's nothing, then you
Yep.
can create one.
Mm-hmm.
And now what we want to do is we want to go edit flow, and we're going to go into a condition. So we want the condition to be tag, and then they have to have joined the giveaway. So that's another reason why this tag came in handy, is because we're using it now. Before it was just to see the people that have joined, and like you can see on your contacts and filter them based on that tag. But now, if they haven't joined the giveaway, maybe we can mention, hey, we're having a giveaway. Would you like to join it? But if they have joined the giveaway and they mentioned you, that means they're interested in the points that they were promised. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an action.
Right.
And we
So
are,
to make what Tyler mentioned a little bit clearer, because your brand's going to have a ton of different people tagging on their stories, right? It might be
Right.
influencers, it might be friends, it might be family.
Yes.
So the conditional logic block right there is to tell the bot like, hey, this person has went through our gift contest and this is the message that we should be spitting out. Otherwise, we typically either don't send a message or like Tyler mentioned, we can say like, hey, we're
Right.
actually running a giveaway contest. Yep.
yeah. So while Sean was kind of explaining that, I'm creating an update a row, and I increase the points by 25. And the only thing that I'm updating is the amount of points that they have won or earned. So basically what that'll do is I've set it so the points increase. So I didn't set it, because if you set it, it'll just put it to 25. I go increase
Okay. Mm-hmm.
by 25. So that way it'll be now 50. And then the next action is update the row to whatever the new value is. So what you do is you find the spreadsheet, you find the worksheet, you look up the first and first name, full name, full name. What that does is it matches the two datas from both entities. So like Google Spreadsheet and ManyChat, and the full name, it has to be the same user. You can connect this to say a unique ID, like a ticket ID. So
Sure.
everybody would be given one ticket ID, but I just did full name because those two things should match. And then you update points. So that way this kind of sheet will update with the new amount of points they're going to receive.
Got
And
it.
then we want to give them a little thank you message, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just say, uh, thanks message. I know it's a little scrappy, but a thanks message just saying like, hey, thanks for mentioning us, blah, 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 blah. And then we'll publish the flow. And now we can even say like your new points is new giveaway points is, and then we do the quotation mark. And again, we could word this quite a bit differently. Obviously, this is pretty scrappy, but like this. And now we publish. So now they see how many new points they have. And you can even name it something different than giveaway points. You can have it like a little spin, like gold or silver or
Mm-hmm.
some type of currency if you'd really like to, just to be a little bit different. Like you have now, I don't know, 20 more gold. Like you've earned a lot more before or something. I don't know. You can kind of think of different ways to
Mm-hmm.
name the amount of points that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do we have time for a menu,
We
Sean?
do.
Okay,
We do.
awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the previous flow that we were in, which is this one right here. And what I normally do is I actually have it in its own separate flow. And I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to make a separate flow. So I'm going to say start from scratch. And as before, I like to name it before I actually work on it. So untitled, I'll go give away menu 1.1 flow. Okay. So now we've named it. And what we're going to do is we're going to probably make this, we're going to keep this message first.
Okay.
So these, and Again, I'm just going to call it giveaway points for the time being, but could always give away points. Now I usually like to do, actually, I'll make the logic a little bit later, and I'll try to explain it better. Because if I do my logic right now, it just won't make sense. So I close this. Now, usually I put an image of the different ways they can earn points. I unfortunately don't have like the best images, because usually you'd come up with your own little kind of image ways. So right now we can do mention on.
Actually, instead of doing that, Tyler, why not we walk him through how that looks like in one of our templates, and then we call it a day.
Okay. Okay, so all right, I'll just explain this a little bit just for kind of the audience sake, but basically what we would be doing here is we're going to take an image and then this will represent whatever way is that they can earn points. So this would be like mention us on IG, so Instagram, or like type it in properly, Instagram. Okay, and then we'd have a little button like, how do I do it, right? Maybe how, and then this could just link to a video that like on the internet, like on a YouTube video or something like that, just in case somebody doesn't know how to do it. It's very unlikely that they wouldn't know how to do it, but you never know. So the next thing that we would have here would be maybe like follow us on other social platforms. So an example would be like maybe YouTube or Facebook. Unfortunately, there is no way to track that they did it. So you would just be kind of like hoping that they have. So what you'd usually do is like you tell them, okay, follow us, click the button to like the link, and then they would go straight on your page. And then you ask them like, have you followed us yet? And then they would say yes or no. And you would kind of have to go on their word because there are no API calls to make sure that they have, not like on Instagram, because at the start of this, you can see whether or not they followed you. But on another platform, even though I know it's not like a different platform, but it's owned by the same people, but it is a different platform. Facebook wouldn't be able to have an API call showing that they've liked your page. Okay, so let's go into one of our templates and I'll show you what a menu would look like. So we're going to do the simple version here. So nope, that's not the right one. Menu. And here's what it would look like essentially. So you would have your kind of follow us on social media, and then you got all these kind of icons of different social medias they can follow you on. You have this a whack-a-mole. Sean can maybe give an explanation of that because he's the one that came up with it.
Basically, it's a lot like slots. I'm sure you've played Whack-A-Mole before. It's the arcade game where you hit like the moles that are popping up. So what we do is we have the users come in, Whack-A-Mole 5 times on a daily basis, and this is especially effective leading up to a product launch because the psychology that we're getting behind is a little bit nuanced. We are messing with the gambler's fallacy as well as micro commitment. So we have it set up such that users win 60% of the time, 30% of the time is near miss, and 10% of the time are losses. So what psychologists have actually studied and found out is that gamblers actually see the 30% of the time as near misses as wins. So we're trying to get them hooked on a daily basis, micro committing right up to the giveaway or the product launch, such that they are going to be more likely to purchase your product. And of course, you're going to have the standard tag us in your stories, as well as view top prizes. But that's basically how the Instagram menu looks like at a glance.
Okay. So I'm not sure if you have any kind of questions on the kind of template we built so far, or not even template, but the flows we built so far. This one we didn't publish with me. Yeah, I don't think we can publish it with this. Okay, well, yeah. So if we really wanted to kind of make the bot, we would make something similar where we'd have a menu of ways they can earn points, and then all of those ways they can earn points usually lead to another flow, and then it kind of leads them to whatever points they're trying to earn. So I hope that kind of made sense. I know that this is a little scrappy looking, but obviously we'd clean it up, but just for time's sake, I can't have it super high quality and keep it like time sensitive.
No problem. Yeah, looks pretty awesome.
Hmm.
No, like we really appreciate your time, Varun. I think we can call it a day here. Is there anything at all that you want to plug? Like people, you want people to visit your socials, whether people to visit your
I mean, I guess it probably makes sense to mention our Instagram, which is at magic and then the letters dot fit. So magic DOTFIT. Um, and yeah, you can hit us up over there. And obviously, our website is actually magic.fit, www.magic.fit. So, but yeah, no, thanks so much. It was very, very interesting, and I always sort of used to get targeted by these sort of not targeted, but when I would reply to a story or slide into a DM on Twitter or something, I'd always see these bots coming back, which lead me through
Mm.
the flow. So it's very interesting to kind of go behind the scenes and see how they work, I guess, in terms of the logic. Yeah, very cool.
All right.
yeah,
Awesome.
cool.
Good to hear.
Yep. All
All
right,
right,
thank
guys.
you.
Thanks
The
so much.
recording.